Freelance fiction editor Miranda Darrow here with a review of this month's writing craft book, which is The Story Equation by Susan May Warren. It explores a character first plotting method that pulls together a bunch of elements of writing craft and puts them into a four-act structure. And it splits the traditional second act into two parts, both with different character growth arc steps, designed to make sure there's a strong connection between the external plot and the character's growth for maximum emotional impact on readers. I've read a lot of books on story structure, and this one has a pretty easy to follow framework for character driven fiction for people who want to organize their writing in advance but don't want to follow a strict beat sheet. And it's not too long of a book, it's a pretty readable book. For more of an explanation on beat sheets, you can see my website under resources for writers, where I post all of my writing craft book reviews and pull up my review on some of them, including Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody, The Heroine's Journey by Gail Carriger, or Romancing the Beat by Gwen Hayes, which is the writing craft book that I'll actually be reviewing for next month, for February. Spoiler alert. My written review for this book will be posted there too. In The Story Equation, the author, Susan May Warren, explains her philosophy on story structure by saying, theme, plot, and characters all conspire to create one thing the readers need in order to enjoy and pass along a story: the emotional connection. Wouldn't it be nice if you could plot your entire story and create an emotional connection with your reader by asking one question? Who are you? And the answer to that question forms the core of the story equation, which is divided into two elements: your character's identity and your character's dark moment story. Warren starts her approach with the main character and digging into who they are and what they want. But this is a focused and directed exploration. It's not attempting to fill out extensive surveys or lists about all their likes and dislikes and their background and who is their third grade teacher and what's their favorite type of pasta. She says, ooh, thankfully, the answer to powerful storytelling is not found in making the stories and characters more complicated. Story crafting and character building don't have to be mind-numbing and confusing. This doesn't mean our stories or characters are simple, shallow, or mundane. Instead, getting at the heart of a character, crafting the plot around the character's journey, and helping the readers relate to the character are simplified. I've seen writing books that use extensive character interviews that ask authors to map out the character's favorite movies and outfits and their signature drink, all without finding out which, if any of these elements, bear any impact on the story or really talk to who that character is as a person. So some of these aren't even worth mentioning, let alone mapping out. Warren says the best way to reveal a bio story is to drop breadcrumbs of information in the beginning chapters or scenes to stir the hunger of the reader. Your goal as an author is to raise intrigue about the character. You do this by scattering nibbles of dialogue or action that hint at a greater story, perhaps a conversation or a situation that suggests more. Warren compares this approach to delivering character bio information via a prologue or having it shown in action as an aside explanation for the character's current action right up front in the first act. Warren says, if you tell the entire bio story in the beginning, you've thrown away one of your most powerful tools for pulling the reader into the story. If you tell the story too early, you've wasted the momentum and have less to talk about in Act 2. You need all the power you can in Act 2 to keep things going. I hadn't really thought about intentionally withholding characters' backstory until the second act to shore up the soggy middle with these engaging scenes that answer the why questions and to give backstory. But it does make sense, and I am going to think about that as I work on books in the future. Warren then digs into the main character's cause, their motivation for their goal. She says the point of building the cause is to arm the character and the reader with enough motivation to face the next step in the journey, the fight, Act 3. The cause, which is Act 2, reminds us of the stakes, helps the character see the value of the noble quest, and uses the bio story as the grand motivator. Warren splits the traditional three-act story structure into a four-act story structure by splitting the second act into two parts. Act 2 sets up Act 3 by explaining the character's backstory, diving into the lie the character believes, and building the stakes and motivation necessary for the character to make it through the conflict coming in Act 3. Rather than developing a plot separate from developing the character, the story equation asks, what does your character want and why? What is his compelling dilemma? What is his noble quest? And what stands in his way? More, it dives into character changes, epiphany, and finally, the grand thing your character does at the end that he couldn't do in the beginning. I like to think how to match the right character with the right plot is a bit of a chicken egg situation where you could come up with either first, but they need to match. in a way that the internal character growth arc and the external plot work in service of each other. They can't be completely disconnected for readers to get emotionally invested in the story. If anyone could be the main character, then your story is not personal and doesn't have enough emotional appeal. The goal is to get to the heart of your character by asking why until you land in a definitive dark story moment that she calls DSM. It's the secret sauce behind all the stuff your character does. The DSM gives your character motivation and helps us determine his secret or greatest desire, which then helps us establish what he wants. This desire fuels his decision to embark on the noble quest, establishes a lie, and helps develop your character's flaw. This is part of the process involving asking your character why, like a 2-year-old, until the dark story moment and their flaw is revealed. This might require spending some time exploring who you want your character to be so they have a strong enough dark story moment to fuel the story. To quote Warren, the lie the character believes is one of these essential questions that threads throughout the entire book. Without the lie, you don't know what the truth you're aiming for is. Without the lie, you don't know what your character believes, what his view of the world is, or how to build his everyday choices. Some authors wonder whether it's necessary for their main character to have a misbelief or a lie they believe. Without one, it reduces their chances of having a compelling character growth arc. Your character also runs the risk of being a too perfect Mary Sue if they aren't ever wrong about everything. Warren says secondary characters stand outside the lie. It's essential for the character to interact with someone who sees the truth and can declare it either directly in actions or some subtext speech to the hero or heroine. These truth tellers drop truthlets or pieces of the truth to the main character that will linger and do their job during the finale of the book. Who is the voice of reason in your story, trying to tell your main character the truth and dispel their misbelief, but the main character just isn't ready to hear it yet? Show this voice, the sandwich board wearing seer, predicting the future, and let the readers wonder if they could be right long before the character figures it out. And then finally, Warren says the epiphany is the point of your character's journey. Without it, the readers have been simply watching your poor character suffer needlessly. You must give him a moment of awareness, of change, and of growth, even if it is too small. Why do you need this? Because this is when the truth will come out and set your hero free. Aha! We have arrived at the eureka moment, and just in time to wrap up our month with this writing craft book. This is when your character finally gets it, sees the truth, moves beyond the lie that they have clung to so long and so desperately, and they are a changed person who is able to do what they couldn't do before. Once this happens, it's time to wrap it up. One of the recurring issues I recommend to clients who are authors is to cut extra scenes after the climax, but the story drags along with very little purpose, just showing happy, smiling people or whatever. Keep it short, tie up those loose ends, wrap it up. And just like that, January's Writing Craft Book of the Month is also a wrap. I recommend this book, The Story Equation by Susan May Warren, especially for authors writing with maximum 2 POV characters. It's not great if you've got a whole lot of POV characters. The complete title is The Story Equation, How to Plot and Write a Brilliant Story from One Powerful Question by Susan May Warren. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share my video. I have new videos every month about writing, editing, and the writing life. Next month, we'll be diving into a new genre and more videos, and we'll see you then. Until then, happy writing!